Hello, Guardians. Welcome to Tower Casuals, the Destiny podcast here on Boss Rush Games. I am one of your hosts, Corey Deering, and alongside me, as always, in a new location. Maybe, instead of being underground, now he's up top. I don't know. It's our lore archivist, Josh Finney. I don't know. I was trying to think of like, you know how the NPCs move from one place in the tower to another when certain things happen, right? I was just trying to think of something, but I wasn't witty enough.
Listen, the goal is that by the end of Festival of the Lost, I get to actually be in a room with light. My office has a wonderful light directly above the desk. I have a little ring light attached to my hutch also. I cannot currently get to my desk, though, because of old furniture that has quite literally, in a metaphor for not only 2020, but my life as well, has just kind of crumbled on top of my desk right now.
I can see that the darkness has arrived at Josh's house as well.
Yeah. I mean, dude, there is gonna be a space Dorito outside any second, and everyone's gonna be like, "What's that?" I'll be like, "Oh, it's Thursday. It's Tower Casuals. Don't worry about it."
That third voice you hear, we've called upon the Tower Casuals LFG and pulled in the one and only Nerd Generalist.
It's me. Hello.
Yay.
Damn, you are like the least excited guest that we've had. Everyone else is like, "Yeah, I'm so glad to be here." Like, yeah.
No,
me.
I actually am really excited to be here. I am a frequent listener. I love what you guys do. All the content, especially Tower Casual. So I'm super excited to be here. Don't let my piss poor entrance change your mind.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me on, guys. I appreciate it.
Hey, man,
We've been joining us. We've wanted to have you for a long time.
I know. I think we've been talking about it for like 6 weeks now. At some point, we were like, we should probably get.
Well, I'm sorry in advance to disappoint you.
That's right.
Impossible.
That's what I said to my wife when she agreed to marry me. So, you know.
Youch! Coming in hot.
Yeah. So how's everybody's week going? Josh, you moved.
I did move. We moved yesterday, actually. So if you're listening to this, we moved on Wednesday, September 30th, and the move went great. But I spoke way too soon when I was like, of all the things in 2020, I'm shocked that the move is what went the best. The internet did not work in the new apartment. I had to make an appointment today for somebody to come out. We ran out of data on the phone trying to set these appointments.
You messaged me earlier. You're like, my internet is wonky. I will keep you posted.
Yeah.
I was like,
I like legit the ports in the apartment were dead or something. It's the third time it's happened when I've gotten AT&T. Excuse me, the fourth time in a row when I've had AT&T. I've never had an issue with their service, but I always have an issue with the self-install. And they don't give you an option to get an actual installer out here anymore. So the guy's like, he's running around. He's like, "Oh yeah, I gotta repower the port and this and that. Here, I'll give you a free power. I'll give you a free power strip." I'm like, "Oh, it's one of those nice ones with like the flat plug." He's like, "Oh, I'm gonna show you how to get free HBO too." So I have HBO Max like forever now. It's great. I'm thrilled, but I have old furniture in my office. The air did not work, and Texas is still hot, guys. It's terrible. Even in the 80s, if you don't have AC, it's awful.
That sounds awful.
Yeah, so we had the air, and I turned it on last night because I had it running while we were moving in, and I could feel the air. So I was like, "Oh, okay, this isn't too bad." It says it's at like 79. We've had the doors open. That's not too bad. It never went down, though. So we gave up and turned the air off last night. I got up around midnight to turn it back on. And when I turned it on, the air started climbing. Instead of it cooling down, it went up to like 86.
But it's a dry heat, guys. It's a dry
86 with air conditioning means you are sweating your literal balls off in your apartment.
No, to me, it means you need another air conditioner. That's what it means to me.
So I took the fan out of the living room, set it on the highest setting, put it about 3 feet away from my face in the bedroom, and turned on the ceiling fan, and we created a small hurricane in there. Thank God maintenance came and fixed it this morning, and they're like, "Yeah, it's no fault of yours. Like the thing upstairs, it needs more Freon. Like we got to definitely fix that." But maintenance guy was like, "Hey, if you guys ever need this, here's my direct number." He's like, "I live on site." So he's like, I'll come fix it in the middle of the night if I have to. I'm going to give you all a new thermostat that's so much easier to program, and that'll solve like half your issues. Like, Thank God, dude. You're the only maintenance man that has ever been worth anything at my current or in any of my apartments. So
sounds like you need to buy this place because that sounds better than every other maintenance man I've ever.
This is a guy who he has to be like young 30s and he hasn't had his soul crushed yet. I don't know how, because he's the only guy apparently. He's the only guy consistently doing maintenance at this place apparently. Great apartments, terrible maintenance people, except for him. We love you, unnamed maintenance man that did not share his name with me. I did share my Chick-fil-A with him, however, today because he did such a good job.
Cheers to him.
Cheers to him. Cheers with my Baja Blast that is conveniently in the other room.
Oh, man.
Now that my soliloquy is over, though.
You shared your Chick-fil-A with him.
Moving in the era of COVID-19 sucks, guys. It's awful.
It's fair.
You had to wear a mask carrying in all those boxes, didn't you?
I did not. My movers did.
Oh, that's good. That's safe.
Well, so I don't want to be that guy, but I kind of told them, I was like, I'm going to stay 6 feet away from you guys, but I'm not putting one on. And I know how terrible that sounds. I live with a nurse, right? But we're both like, no, we're running stuff up and down the stairs. We're still trying to clean the apartment still. Like, we're not going to do that. When we get to the new place, I'm literally going to pop a squat in the corner and just let y'all bring everything in. I've got a very upset cat anyways. They even kind of gave up on them when they were bringing stuff into the apartment, which, okay, cool, whatever. Like, you're staying away from me. I don't really care. Just any time that they were interacting with me, they were pulling one up, and we still had them around our chins, but it's terrible. Trying to look at apartments just doesn't work in this, and moving is terrible too. So, what are you gonna do?
It's fair.
It's rough.
It's fair.
Yeah, it's rough, but we still have Destiny, guys.
We do.
Gigabit fiber has changed my life, and I've only had it for 3 hours.
Yeah, you know what doesn't suck in 2020? Destiny. Doesn't suck in 2020.
Destiny's been pretty damn good outside of Season of the Worthless.
Oof. We won't talk about that one.
No, we won't. No. But it's on Game Pass now. Go play it.
Yeah. Season of the Drifter was pretty bad too, but we won't get into that.
It's always the spring season. It's literally always the spring seasons.
It's fair.
It's true.
It's fair. It's fair. Well, this is actually like my 6th show since last Tower Casuals that I've like done. It's been
Corey's had a busy week.
Yeah, I mean, we're like prepping a bunch of stuff, and I've had like meetings with our video team and stuff, and I've had meetings with our writing team, and also we acquired Land Party to be part of Boss Rush now. So Land Party and Trash Talk are now shows that are live on our Twitch channel. And
hey man, that's awesome! Congrats.
Yeah, I mean, it's cool. I just like I would like to go to bed at some point. You know what I mean? Like I having a blast, but yesterday during Trash Talk, like halfway through, I was like feeling my eyes kind of just be like closing for a little bit. You know how sometimes you just close your eyes when you're kind of just like there and just rocking back and forth in the chair. And then they had something to say about the Cleveland Browns, and I perked up, and I was like, they actually looked okay on Sunday, but we also play the Cowboys.
Don't get me started on the Browns.
We also play the Cowboys on Sunday. So.
Hey, guys, how about those 3-0 Seahawks, though?
Yeah, well, the Browns have never been 3-0 ever, so.
You know who's also 3-0?
The Pittsburgh Steelers. I only know that because my uncle is from Pittsburgh and reminds me all the time.
Yeah, all the Steelers fans at work remind me all the time. So
there's a lot of them. There's a lot of them.
I never heard about it from them until we lost in the Super Bowl, and now for like 15 years I've had to hear about it from my family up north, which are divided into Steelers fans and Eagles fans, and the Eagles fans always trash talk for the Steelers. I'm like, guys, you've literally never won a Super Bowl.
Nobody
like, now Philly. You have thanks to Big Dick Nick, but you never did before that.
I'm going to say this, and I apologize in advance to all the Philadelphia fans and listeners out there, but nobody likes Philly.
Nobody likes Philly.
I had Carson Wentz on my fantasy football team, and that son of a bitch almost lost me the first 3 games.
That was a bad decision. That was a bad choice.
This is not Land Party. This is not Trash Talk. Is it time for Carson Wentz to be benched?
Yes.
I benched him straight to the waiver wire.
how on earth do you not get rid of Carson Wentz if you are the Philadelphia Eagles? Like, they still have that massive contract to pay him. I get that he had an MVP caliber season, but he has not been the same since that.
Yeah. They don't have anything else right now. They've lost everything else. Everything else is broken on their team.
Yeah, that's fine. Just, hashtag let Russ cook 2020. He is also one of the only very few good things to happen this year is Pete Carroll finally reading Seahawks Twitter and just unleashing Russell Wilson. Guys, I don't think you understand what it means for me to be like, oh my God, my quarterback has 14 passing TDs in only 3 games. This is incredible. Normally those are all rushing TDs from other people.
Yeah.
We're not relying on Chris Carson for like the 4th season in a row. I love this. This is great. No fourth quarter heroics here.
It's fair. You can have that one. It's fine. It's fine.
Gonna have that one.
Oh, man. You know what? Tonight's going to be a good night. You know why? Because this is Tower Casuals, the Destiny podcast. You can catch it live on twitch.tv/BossRushGames live every Thursday night or on your podcast service every Friday night. You can, listen to us while you're trying to get those wins and Trials of Osiris or, grinding for that next exotic. You just throw on our podcast. It's a good time. I promise it's a good time. Talk about sandwiches sometimes. The sandwich casuals appear.
I've heard about this sandwich discussion, and I haven't seen any of it yet. I'm a little disappointed.
Yeah, well, let me tell you, actually. You know what, Josh? I meant to talk to you about this before the show, but now that the show has started, I get to talk to you about it now. We have friends that live in Florida, and they went to Earl of Sandwich today, and they sent me a nice, big, fat original and Hawaiian barbecue pictures, and I was awfully jealous.
Listen, the whole we've been over this multiple times, and there will be sandwich talk later in the episode. We have some questions to get to, but the Hawaiian barbecue is legitimately, if heaven was summed up into a sandwich, I imagine that sandwich is where the Hawaiian barbecue is like the combination of like the dancing cherubs and like the 7 trumpets unlocking the seals. I think that's how the Bible works. And it's that harmonious agreement. And like, I don't know, it's like Da Vinci's Last Supper in a sandwich. There's no Judas. Judas has already been yeeted away. Like it's the Last Supper if you remove Judas.
Later, Judas.
Yeah, it's got like triple the Peter in it. It's fantastic.
Here's the sandwich.
It's so good. Oh, it's so good.
I still don't know anything about this place. You guys are gonna have to send me some pictures after the episode.
Oh.
There will be pictures.
It's the world's greatest hot sandwich.
They follow us, so we're important.
We may or may not have been tagging them in the show notes for weeks, asking them to follow us.
Oh, I know. I follow you guys on Twitter and stuff, and so I've seen these things. I'm gonna have to open these pictures up, away from the wife. If the way you guys are making them sound, they sound not very safe for work.
You might want to go.
It's like sandwich erotica.
You might want to go to a private place in your home and shut the door. You
say sandwich erotica like that's a weird thing. The internet is a place, and that's a thing somewhere.
It's actually probably one of the least weird things on the internet at this point.
It's like Sandwich Hub over here, man. It's just man. Mm-hmm. 18 and over only.
Also, I don't know if I've asked you this before, Josh. Did you know that they have potato wedges there?
I did. So I order potato wedges every time I go to. That's the side that I get. I don't get chips. Mm-hmm. Chelsea and I get potato wedges. Dude, it's changed my life.
They're the greatest potato wedges of all time.
Dude, no compromise. No, there's nothing to compare with.
You
guys are jerks.
Well, the ones at the deli counter at Kroger are pretty great too.
Yeah, but not Earl of Sandwich.
Oh, they're not Earl of Sandwich good. No. They're not wedges. They'll get you stopped at TSA, and they're like, "Oh, what you got there, boy?
You got a foil cylinder in your bag. What is that?"
I bring multiple sandwiches home from vacation, sir. This is what I buy instead of autograph books at Disneyland. I bring home sandwiches.
You see all these kids with Disney bags? No, I'm bringing a man's souvenir home. This is a sandwich.
That's right.
Just Earl of Sandwich souvenirs.
Yes, they sell shirts.
A sandwich hat.
They sell shirts.
If they made a sandwich hat, I would wear it on this show.
By the way, Josh, I want you to know that this weekend there will be a hashtag sandwich casual shirt going up there in honor of Earl of Sandwich following us.
Oh, Christ.
So, just going to throw that up there.
This is just fantastic. I love all of this.
Yes. So, that was my other project this week, was to revamp the store designs, and sandwich casuals is one of them. So
the sandwich, oh my God. Ladies and gentlemen, the Sparrow has caught fire. It is rocketing down. There is a Cabal dropship on fire now. The Sparrow has entered the dropship.
Speaking of sparrows, what if we just got a Hawaiian barbecue sparrow to ride around?
Sponsored by Earl of Sandwich.
Yes.
You know, I'm not one for in-game marketing campaigns, but I would absolutely love to see this happen.
Josh would spend all 46,000 bright dust on that one sparrow.
Listen, if they made a potato wedge sparrow, I would drop real world money on that so fast it wouldn't even be funny. I would absolutely be the problem.
Would the trail just be like ketchup, just like spewing off the back of it?
No, dude, it's the seasoning salt. It's absolutely the seasoning salt that's coming off the back.
Okay. That's fair.
Imagine those potato wedges with like the Red Robin seasoning.
Ooh.
Mm-hmm.
That's good.
And oh man, it's campfire sauce. God, now I want Red Robin. This is bad. I'm getting fat while we're talking about this.
This is a bad time to be on a keto diet. I think with all this talk, I hate you guys.
But Corey, I think since we have a guest, it's time to ask some questions.
Yeah, it's time to get into the LFG portion of our show. Josh, remind everybody what the LFG is.
The Tower Casuals LFG is where we go looking for our favorite friends and content creators in the Destiny universe, and we get to know a little bit about them. We like to do this with every single guest on their first appearance on the show. So, Nerd, we're going to start off with a question that we ask everybody at the very beginning. What is your connection to Destiny, to Bungie games, etc.? When did you start with Bungie games and with Destiny in particular?
So Destiny for me started as I completely missed the original Destiny train.
Wow.
Destiny,
okay.
That original Destiny came. I thought about buying it. I didn't buy it for some reason. I think it was like it came out. I looked over it, and then like a year went by, and I was like, man, I really wish I would have bought that game. It sounds fun. All my friends are playing it, but they've been at it for a year. It's probably too late to get into it, so I moved on. So about 6 months before Destiny 2 came out, I had a friend. He's actually been on the show before, Colonel Panic. He was like, hey, I really need to raid and do some stuff in Destiny. He's like, if I buy you the game, will you play it? He's like, you don't have to pay me back. He's like, I just literally just want someone to play it. I was like, hey, this is a great opportunity for me to jump into the game and actually play it with somebody. And so he did, and we jumped in, and I was hooked right out of the gate. I finally got that Destiny addiction that I saw all my friends having a year before. So really Destiny as a connection for me was a way to just share a friendship with someone else. And through that, I've met a couple other people. I've actually met you guys through Destiny, which was really, really cool. And Destiny for me has actually become, one of my favorite games. It's become the core of the things that I play. When I was doing content creation, Destiny was the primary game I was doing for quite a while. It's been a huge part of my life for the last. How long has Destiny 2 been out now?
We just crossed 3 full years. We are now in year 4.
So yeah, the entirety of Destiny 2 has been a huge part of my life. It's great.
I loved it. I love you bring up the friendship angle because I know Corey and I both feel the same way. I've been playing Bungie games with my lifelong best friend since we were 11, 12 years old is when we met. We bonded over the Halo 2 release when it came out.
Yeah.
That's actually that I just started at a new school 2 months before and didn't have any friends. And I heard him talk about Halo one day. I was like, hey, I really like Halo 2. And he's like, oh, you want to play Halo? He's like, my brother just bought Halo 2. It come out the night before the midnight release. It just happened. He's like, come on over to my house this weekend. We'll play it. He and I played through Halo 2, I believe, in one sitting. And it was incredible. We tried playing it through 12-year-old kids were trying to play through it on Legendary. One of my greatest experiences. That's continued. I mean, he drove me to go get my Ghost Edition when I had surgery on my legs. And still, even though he's got 2 kids and he's married now, that's the one game we still find time to get down and play together. And so Corey and Mitch are the same way. So
if we want to extend it out to like all of Bungie games, Halo 2, I have a really great story to kind of talk about Halo 2.
I mean, go for it.
High school's a bitch, right? I mean, it's a really cutthroat place. It can be really, really tough for a lot of people in terms of like, where you sit in like the different cliques in high school.
Yeah. Halo
2 was a game that brought so many people in my school together at that time. So, I mean, we had, I'm sure like every other high school back in those days, you had the popular kids, you had the less popular kids, you had the kids who were nerdy, which I guess that's a cool thing to be now.
Yeah.
Basically all these different cliques, and on the weekends, somebody would have like a LAN party for Halo 2 at their house, and people from all of these groups, people who would never talk to each other in school or, at football games or anything like that, would all show up. They'd all bring their Xboxes and we'd all sit down and we'd play, and it was like we were best friends. And like real relationships were formed over this game. And it like, I know it sounds kind of silly because we were all just playing a game, but like it really helps people cross a lot of boundaries and become friends that people that wouldn't have been friends.
That's how
otherwise.
That's how Halo 1 was for me, right? I mean, in people I never would have been friends with, we would have LAN parties every weekend, and everybody would bring their Xboxes. I remember the one time there were so many people that we actually had 2 full 8-on-8 matches going on. In somebody's basement through LAN party. I'm like, man, I don't know how this is working, but this is cool.
We when I was younger, you just kind of share like one last personal anecdote about this. For me, it ended up being Halo 3 actually. I'm younger than both you guys. I remember the Halo 1 craze. I remember reading about it. I got into Halo 1 pretty late in the game, late 2003, early 2004. Halo 2, it was still really only popular. I was in junior high. I was in 7th grade. It was only popular if you knew what it was for us. The older kids all played it. So we hung out with my friend Matt. We hung out with his older brother Chris a lot. His friends would play us, and they'd be like, "Oh, let's play 4-on-4 or like 8-on-8." And the younger kids always won. Because we were little snot-nosed brats who didn't have girlfriends or anything or jobs. Halo 3 is the moment, though, that boundaries got crossed for us, and a lot of that had to do with the Forge creation.
Cool.
I mean, sure, we would play snipers on coagulation. We play snipers, rockets, vehicles only, cat and mouse. We play all that kind of stuff. But there was something about the Forge maps, and like we'd come in on Mondays, and we would have had a LAN party like all night Friday night at my place or at my buddy Matt's, and we would just talk about whatever map somebody had created. That was the talk of the school. I went to a small school. That was the one that got shared around, although everybody wanted it. Everyone wanted to know exactly how you'd made it. And Rock Band did also the same thing for us as we got farther into high school. We'd all go to the football games, and then we'd have like a huge party at one of our houses, upstairs in our game room or my buddy's living room. It was fantastic. I love when games do that, and you create lifelong friends with people you didn't think you'd ever be friends with. Matt used to, I tell this story a lot. He used to pick on me when we were just starting out junior high. He was kind of an ass until he found out that I really liked Halo. Then I was cool to him. And that over the last 16 years, that like not only like through the rest of junior high, but throughout high school, that became the strongest friendship I think either one of us had. They're for both the birth of both of his kids, best man at his wedding. It's great when you find friends that you can do that with. But to move on from the personal anecdotes, we've got some fun questions now.
Sure, let's go.
Okay, so if you could hang out with any NPC in the Destiny universe for a day, who is it, and what activity do you go do within the universe?
So
they don't have to be alive; they can be dead.
I'm not gonna pick I feel like a lot of people would probably pick Cade.
Yeah.
Because Cade just seems like a really fun guy. Also, I love Nathan Fillion.
Oh, yeah.
And sounds like a really cool dude. I would probably hang out with Shax just because every time, like every voice line that comes up from Shax just has me like cracking up. Just like the inflection, the way he's like so excited to say everything, like thank you, Guardian. Like it's just hilarious to me. Like I would just hang out with Shax. I would crack a beer, just sit in the background and listen to him call Crucible matches because it's hilarious.
I would love to go-karting with Shax. Is that all you've got, Guardians?
Put the pedal to the metal, Guardian.
Now I'm imagining Shax as a DLC character for Mario Kart, and it's fantastic.
See, okay, so in my mind...
Shax for Smash.
Oh my god, dude. I saw the Master Chief for Smash pictures today after Steve got confirmed, and they're like, give us the Microsoft trifecta.
Well, like, so I just went from Mario Kart to like bumper cars with Shax.
Oh my god.
That would be funny.
That'd be hilarious. Okay, so continuing on this, I'm really glad that you brought that up because we're keep talking about our tower friends. If Soraya Hawthorne ordered a drink, an alcoholic beverage, what would it be?
She seems kind of like a hard ass. And you know what? She would probably really annoy the bartender. She's like, you just never quit, do you? You keep making those drinks. Ah, man. I think she would be a hard ass. I think she would just have like a whiskey like neat. What do you think? What
I think she drinks straight ass moonshine. I think she drinks backwoods concocted moonshine from the hills of Kentucky.
Well, I mean, first off, it fits kind of her backstory. I would say that, and then she's got a falcon. Is it a falcon or like a hawk?
Yeah, it's a falcon.
Okay, so it'd be a falcon. I mean, anybody who carries a falcon isn't ordering like an apple teeny or something like that. That's a hard ass right there. I don't know. I think she's ordering something straight, something neat, no frills. You and your clan just ordering drinks.
Everyone, I did promise a sandwich question today. I promised sandwich talk. If Lord Shax went to the Earl of Sandwich that is located in the Tower cafeteria, what kind of sandwich would this man order?
So I don't know.
What's his bread? What are his toppings?
I don't know anything about Earl of Sandwich. I'm gonna have to Google Earl of Sandwich, like an Earl of Sandwich menu right now.
We're using that hypothetically. What if the man ordered a sandwich anywhere? What is this man putting on it? Oh, man. Yeah, we have to keep those. We have to keep those mentions going for the hopeful sponsorship and partnership. Eventually.
I know.
Of course.
Look, they don't even. I told you they don't even have to pay us. They do just send us a free sandwich every week or two. I would take two because I'm a large man. Okay, I need two sandwiches.
So I think Shax is definitely going for just like white bread. Earl of Sandwich. I mean, are these sub sandwiches or are they smaller sandwiches, like regular size sandwiches? What are these?
I would say they're like 6-inch sub-ish sandwiches. I would say.
Okay.
Yeah, they're about 6-inch, maybe a little bit longer.
Okay.
Speaking of Josh, Earl of Sandwich. Sorry, nerd. I didn't mean to cut you off, but this is important. This is breaking news, Josh.
That's fine.
The Earl of Sandwich has brought back the Caribbean jerk chicken sandwich.
Ooh.
So
he's literally getting that right from the homepage of Earl of Sandwich. I'm seeing the exact same thing.
Yes.
I'm Googling it right now. I have to confirm.
It is. It is grilled chicken, roasted red peppers, banana peppers, and mild or spicy jerk sauce.
Sweet Christ. Give me that with the spicy jerk sauce. It's like me. I like it.
Okay, so I'm looking at the Earl of Sandwich menu right now. I want to keep it in context here, boys. So I'm looking at the Earl of Sandwich menu here. I don't think Shaxx is going with a slider here. These are, what are these, breakfast sandwiches? These look like
he needs a man's sandwich.
He needs maximum protein.
You need to go down where it says hot sandwiches. That's where your real sandwiches. Okay,
that's where I'm at right now. And he definitely nothing with avocado on it because Shaxx isn't some California yippy dippy person, okay? He's not having avocado on his sandwich. Certainly no tuna. The full Montague, all rights reserved, is a candidate there. I mean, look at the amount of meat on that sandwich. But I also think that Shaxx probably isn't too fond of vegetables. I think the more meat and stuff you could pile on that, the better. So I'm gonna go with a French dip. I'm gonna go with a French dip for Shaxx.
I mean, if we're keeping it in context, I definitely agree. A French dip or the Italian. I feel like because
that would have been my next.
That's like just classy enough for a man who can recite The Tempest from memory.
But listen, Shaxx also has some sophisticated tastes. He did shack up.
I definitely feel like the French dip has to be it then.
I think so. And look, I mean. I think that's a delicious sandwich. I would go for that as well.
Okay. If you could equip a loadout of 3 exotic weapons, a primary, a secondary, and a heavy, what would they be? If you could throw all 3 on at once.
Okay. Do I have to go in order?
Nope. Just tell me what you put on each slot.
All right. I have really come. I'm gonna go to the secondary first. I've really come to love Ruinous Effigy.
Okay.
I don't know if that's I know that there are a lot of people using the same build that I am right now. I actually saw a bunch of people today when I was playing. But Ruinous Effigy has become one of my favorite exotics. I think for heavy, man. Okay, are we talking current meta or
you do anything you want in that slot? Destiny 1 or 2.
I'm gonna stay in the realm of Destiny 2 because that's probably where I have the most context. Okay. I'm gonna go with Thunderlord when it first came out. Thunderlord when it originally dropped was like one of my favorite weapons.
Still one of mine.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to. I want to look up a list of primary exotics. Because, frankly, I just don't want to miss one. Yeah. I'm going to go with... I got to go with Outbreak Perfected, man.
Yep.
Very good choice.
Outbreak Perfected is just... It's so good. I mean, it's just so powerful, especially if you get everybody in the fire team using it. You just can't... You can't beat it.
Corey, real fast, I want to hear your trio. Just fire them off. What would you put in your loadout? Oh
gosh. Okay, so I definitely going Outbreak Perfected in my primary. I'm trying to avoid the Gallarhorn because it's still just a classic weapon. But if we're staying in the realm of Destiny 2.
Yeah, let's stay in Destiny. Let's stay in Destiny 2. Since that's what Nerd established. Let's stay in Destiny 2. Gallarhorn's too easy to fall back on.
Yeah. I would have to say, man, I'm a big fan of Xenophage. Mm-hmm. But Thunderlord, man, I've been using Thunderlord lately because I just got it. And Thunderlord is just fun.
Thunderlord was so overpowered when it first dropped. Like, I remember doing the Cali encounter, which was almost exclusively you had to use Whisper or Sleeper when it first dropped. But then when Thunderlord came out, man, we just shredded her with that. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, Corey, but I really love Thunderlord.
No, I like Thunderlord a lot, man. Man, now I don't know. I'm gonna have to go. Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go Xenophage in the heavy. I think it's hilariously powerful. When I first started, when the first shot it's just hilarious every time you kill something with that thing. It's hilarious. But in the secondary, I'm gonna have to go with the old standby of hard light. I enjoy a good auto rifle. I think hard light is a good auto rifle. You can change the elements on it, which is always a positive when you're going into these harder encounters. I think hard light is a solid secondary choice. I do like Ruinous Effigy too, but I'm gonna go with hard light.
Okay. And I'm going to fire off my thoughts real fast also. Of course, I'm going to keep it basic. Outbreak Perfected. There is no comparison for that opening one. The only one I would consider, even though I'm not a big hand cannon guy, because I need to see how it performs in Destiny 2 before I officially say it, but Hawkmoon may take that slot for me eventually. I like a good sharpshooter. I like pistols a lot. And I fashion myself as an Old West kind of cowboy. My secondary slot is absolutely going to be Divinity. I like playing a support class, and there's nothing better than seeing that giant blue crit bubble appear in Gambits or on a raid boss. And then my heavy, I want to go Xenophage, but I'm going to change it up. I'm going to go Whisper of the Worm here.
Ooh.
I'm going to keep it with some of the dopest weapon designs here. That's really what I'm going for. Maximum firepower. If I could break the rules, I would throw that on. I love Whisper. It's the only sniper I really enjoy using in this game. In Destiny 2, I'm not a big sniper in this. I loved snipers in D1. Not so much here, but I would go with that, or I would go with Deathbringer. I really like Deathbringer a lot too. Just to shake it up. Xenophage is a lot of fun. I love Xenophage, of course, for lore-related reasons and the absurd amount of firepower. But I want to keep it a little bit different from the rest of the crew. So there you have it. There's our loadouts. Since we got such good answers,
I do wanna give a shout out, an old school shout out. Not as good in Destiny 2 as it was in Destiny 1, but Lord of Wolves is a favorite of mine.
Lord of Wolves is great. I do still really like that gun.
Lord of Wolves was a Crucible meta for a while in Destiny 2. It was, yes. I think it was broken for a little while, wasn't it?
It was broken. If you played in that Iron Banner when it was broken, you got a special emblem.
That's right. I remember that now. Yep.
Yeah. That was Season of Dawn, I want to say, is when that happened.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Maybe. I don't really remember. This has been a really weird year.
No, I think it might have been before that even, because I don't think I played during Season of Dawn.
Yeah, possibly. I genuinely, the whole last year has been kind of a blur to me at this point. But that is going to do it for our LFG questions tonight. We got some really good answers and had some good discussion out of them. So take note, everybody else who has to answer these questions. We prefer to do less questions and more discussion. And as always, keep it tuned in for the next time that we have a member of the LFG appear. The call goes out.
I do have some breaking news here, Josh, for you.
Oh, God.
It's not really Destiny related.
Did all of Sam tweet you again?
No, they will, though. They will. This week, they will. There are possible signs of life detected on Venus, apparently.
This is like the third time that we've seen something like this happen. Like, signs of life on Venus.
Wait. Are we talking about real Venus?
Yeah.
Real Venus.
Yeah. It's like the first article on IGN's page. Slow news day, probably, but...
A NASA probe may have found signs of life on Venus 40 years ago?
Apparently. So, there's that. There's that.
Well, gentlemen, shall we go ahead and jump into the TWAB this week?
The TWAB.
I'm excited to talk about the TWAB.
Yeah, we're going to jump on into the TWAB, everybody. For those of you who need a refresher, the TWAB is, of course, This Week at Bungie, and the reason why we record this episode on Thursday nights now, so we can talk about this in all of its glory. Almost all of this is an update from Halloween Grandma. My good old Eva Levante updating us on the Festival of the Lost this year. No spicy Beyond Light updates today. We thought there might be one, but they have said that we're going to talk bounties, economy, encounters, etc. the rest of October. So they're going to change it up a little bit this year. The Haunted Forest is back, but instead of there being only one chest at the end, there are now going to be 5 chests for 5 times the loot. This is one of the things that they're doing, we suspect, in lieu of Beyond Light being delayed. You guys have both played the Festival of the Lost encounter before, right?
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think every single one in Destiny 2, yep.
Okay, I was going to say, how do we feel about the Haunted Forest? So we'll just go ahead and talk about Festival of the Lost now, and of course, we'll do it here in a couple weeks when we've had time to play it this year. Compared to other holiday events, how do we feel about the Haunted Forest?
I've always been a fan of the Haunted Forest. I think what's the regular name? The Infinite Forest. I thought that was always a really cool, underutilized portion of the game. I think there was a lot more that they could do for it. And certainly once they started doing the Haunted Forest, I got really excited. Like I said, I've done it every single year. I think it's starting to wear on people a little bit. And I saw the little handshake there, Josh. I think this probably needs to be the last year that we do the Haunted Forest. I like some of the changes, and I'm sure we'll talk about them in a little bit. But I think this probably needs to be the last year that we do the Haunted Forest. It's just starting, like, unless they change something significantly about it or expand upon it somehow, like way more than what it is right now, I think this needs to be it.
I wonder if it was going to be different if Beyond Light came out beforehand. You know,
man. Yeah, I was talking about this with Johnny earlier, or a couple days ago, I guess. And I personally, Conspiracy Headphones, I don't think it was going to be different, simply because so many of their resources were going into not only crafting Beyond Light and bringing back the Cosmodrome, which we'll get to here in a little bit, but also getting that next-gen console experience stable. And the content vault, all that good stuff. I personally think they always plan for this and just be like, yeah, like who cares? It's space magic. It's space magic. That's why you're back there.
I think right now they're focused a lot on getting file size down, and I think that reusing as many assets as you can. I think that's why a lot of the rewards are reused as well. I think that's a big factor into, and I don't think it was ever going to be anything other than the Haunted Forest again. No,
and I'm okay with it. Like you said, though, this absolutely needs to be the last year that we use it. It is starting to wear on me. This is the third year in a row that they've done the Haunted Forest. I believe they started it with Forsaken. I went ham on it in Forsaken. I was really excited. Oh my God, we're finally using the Infinite Forest. We've been begging for this to finally have an excuse to use this area. Last year, I really didn't play it. Didn't care for any of the rewards. Thank God. There's no greater sigh of relief that goes through my mind than seeing a Destiny seasonal event where I don't care about any of the stuff.
Oh man, last year was good. The Braytech Werewolf was nice, man.
I played enough to get the Werewolf. I played enough to get my Festival of the Lost shirt, which I wear on here all the time. Love it. It's my favorite piece of Destiny apparel that I have. I wear that shirt even in the middle of summer. I wear it all the time. So I mean, I'll be around for things like that. I always like new designs. And Horror Story the year before, which is such a good gun, even with the fixed roll. So I'm okay with all that. I do like the rewards. Having a quadruple the loot is like 5 times the amount. Is that quad?
Quintupling
the amount of rewards you can get is fantastic. That's more loot is always better. Like Bungie, this is a loot-based game. Give us those chests, but you can't give us all blues out of it either. Like there's got to be a healthy mix in there.
So, not to continue to gripe on Festival Lost, because I don't want it to sound like
it's known on Reddit as Festival of the Cost. So we'll get to that in a moment.
Well, so my biggest problem with it is that it almost always follows Solstice, which is a huge grind for a lot of people. This year I tried it. I could not bring myself to grind another Solstice season. And that's what Festival of the Lost is. It's a grind. You're going in, you're doing the same basic thing over and over and over again. And it's after you have done, 5,000 strikes and a bunch of Crucible matches and this for Solstice, you don't really want to grind so much. And so I think that's the biggest downfall of all of this for Festival of the Lost is it comes right after a really big grindy period.
So one thing I will say, not to go to bat for Bungie here necessarily, because I do think there's a lot of things wrong with Solstice and with the seasonal events in general.
Agreed.
One thing I do like about Festival of the Lost, that I like about Dawning, now Guardian games really, is they feel less grindy than things like Solstice. Solstice inherently feels more grindy because it comes in the middle of summer. There's usually not a whole lot going on the back half of summer in the game. We're gearing up for an expansion. I personally, I got my armor done for Solstice, and then I kind of put the game down for a while. I've popped in weekly just to do some weekly Bright Dust bounties, get my Gambit, my Crucibles, and sometimes my strikes done. Just do that, hang out with the friends for like an hour or two. But with Festival of the Lost coming, I'm like, all right, I'm going to ease myself back in now, get excited for Beyond Light. I'm kind of over the seasonal events in general right now, though. Mm-hmm. And I think it's because I grinded them so hard for so long without rewards in game to try and get that extra Bright Dust to buy stuff. And it seems like at least with Solstice, with Moments of Triumph, even with Guardian games to an extent, like they are starting to listen to us and give us more rewards that you can earn. And we're going to get to that here in just a second. We're going to keep talking about the loot system and whatnot. It changed it up this year. This year we're going to need cipher decoders. It's going to be a quest, and I don't want to spoil anything for anybody. I have read some of the quest steps on Ishtar Collective. It is up there if anybody wants to go see it. It's been there. It's been data mined all over Reddit from like GG, I believe. But you're going to talk to Spider. It's going to be a quest that we're going to do. And I do believe this was supposed to be part of Beyond Light. And you will earn these decoders from any activity in the solar system, kind of like the Umbral Ingrams. You can earn now random rolls on both the Braytech Werewolf and on Horror Story from these chests, and each will have more perk combinations. That is really exciting. I think both those guns are already fun to use, and if 450s are going to be tweaked a bit and Beyond Light, those with the right combinations, Vorpal and Dynamic Sway Reduction, anybody, are going to be absolute monsters.
Are those two either of those two primary weapons? I can't remember.
They're both primaries.
Oh, thank God.
Yeah,
because the one thing that
went through my mind too.
The one thing that I've really been hurting for in Season of Arrivals has been just a consistent primary weapon. I have so many secondary weapons that I love, but I have like no real favorite primary weapons. And certainly after vaulting starts, and depending on what we get, but like at the very start of Beyond Light, I'm gonna be without a primary weapon that I really love. So hopefully those two can fill the gap. One of the two.
I'm really excited for that. Seeing that made me real excited. Of course, as Festival of the Lost, there are going to be new masks, as there always is. Eva will give you a Masquerader helmet, which allows you to apply your masks as a universal ornament before you head out. It looks like there's 3 new masks, it looks like. There is one for Spider, there's the Shattered Traveler, and then there's one, I believe it's called the Associates Mask, and not quite sure where that comes from. I kind of felt like that may tie into Beyond Light eventually, like maybe that's a character we meet in it, but regardless, I think all 3 new masks look pretty dope. Of course, as in previous years, every mask that you have from those can be used here, or if you don't have them, you can earn them. So really excited to run around with my Screaming Uldren mask again. I always like to go back and replay the mission where you beat the voice of Riven at the end of Forsaken, wearing the Uldren mask and executing Uldren with it.
Wearing the chicken mask, I don't know if that one still applies, is always great to just like really rib on people in Crucible and Trials.
I love it. I love how wacky it gets at this time. Everyone's wearing them. It's a fun time to go do Crucible, go through things like Gambit. Invading with one of those masks is hilarious. I really, the mask thing is one of my favorite things we do with these seasons. It feels true. That and the cookie oven feel unique. Like the Halloween and Christmas events, they've nailed. Solstice this year, despite it being a grind, and I think I was just exhausted from playing so much this year, was actually not as grindy as it normally is, with the exception of the 10 Gambit matches. That was the only part that was like truly unbearable. If you were trying to go for all three, it was easier than ever, and I actually really think the armor looked cool this year. Glad I suffered through it. But the event is going to go from October 6th to November 3rd. There are 3 triumphs you get for opening a certain amount of chests in the Haunted Forest. And you will be able to trade in the candy for 3 earnable items. A mummified ghost, ship, and sparrow. They are kind of standard designs. It is the classic original ship design and the original sparrow design, but they've got they're wrapped up like mummies, and there's tape hanging off of them. Just things like this are fun. Definitely put this stuff as rewards in game. Let us earn this instead of buying it.
So I have a question. You said candy, and this is kind of off topic, but it just really got me thinking. And you guys could both answer this. I'd really like to hear you think. Out of all of the NPCs in the tower, if we were trick-or-treating, who gives out the best candy? And what would they give out?
Oh, I feel like it. To me, it's got to be Drifter or it's got to be Shax. Of living characters, it's got to be those guys.
Yeah, like Ikora's given out like
may be
apples.
up there too. Saint 14 may be up there.
You think?
You know who's
He's
not
probably
up
giving
there?
out like protein bars or something.
Dude, I don't think he gives out protein bars. I think Shax is the guy. He's the guy that, like, if you go to a rich neighborhood, they just give you a full-on king-size like Snickers or something. Drifter, I feel like he's like, here you go, here's one piece for each of you, and then like when all the other kids turn, he's like, hey, you're my favorite kid in the neighborhood because you don't annoy me. Here's like 5 extra pieces of candy.
What kind of candy is he giving out?
What's Drifter? Man, I feel like Drifter is giving out like all the special limited edition M&Ms.
Okay.
Saint 14, on the other hand, though, I don't think he's giving out power bars. He strikes me as the kind of guy who gives out the all pink Starburst.
Ooh, man.
I'm
all in on that.
The manliest candy, the best candy, my favorite candy. Straight up pink Starburst.
Corey,
the flavor reds are so great.
Yeah.
Corey, what do you got?
I mean, I feel like the Drifter would give out great candy, but it's there's something wrong with it.
Yes.
Like maybe it's like the greatest candy, but it's like maybe it's stale.
Oh, he gives like, dude, watch that guy give out like Birdie Bots or something.
Yeah, or like, I kind of feel like, you know who's not giving out great candy though? I feel like Zavala is not giving out great candy. I feel like Zavala is the house on the block that gives you like, I don't know. Yeah, that's exactly what I was gonna say. Like
we did get a toothbrush in Festival of the Lost last year from Eris. I'd like to note that.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah,
sounds right.
I actually think Zavala gives out something slightly better. I think the Cryptarch is pretty bad.
Yeah, the Cryptarch is terrible. Maybe Zavala just gives you like. Maybe he's like the pretzel guy or like the popcorn ball guy.
Dude, okay, listen, I'm the pretzel guy, so...
Pretzel day, man. Pretzel day is the best day.
Dude, I give out little bags of roll golds to people who come by because I live in an apartment complex, so no kids come trick-or-treating here. So I buy them as justification to keep those or like the Cheez-It bags for myself.
It's just drunk college kids and you just hand out Hot Pockets and like pizza rolls.
Pizza rolls would be awesome.
There was a house there was a house when I was living with my aunt. They would make hot apple cider.
Ooh,
and so they wouldn't give out candy, but they'd give out like cups of cider or apple juice to the kids as they came by. But they had spiked cider for the adults. And that was whenever I took my cousin trick or treating, that was absolutely my favorite house to go to.
Nice.
So.
Thank you for indulging my question, guys. I that one just popped in.
Yeah. Hey, this is a two-way street, man. Let's see. Other things that they've got. They do have a really awesome emblem. If you guys haven't seen this in the Schwab. It is all these pyramids, the sun setting planets with a skull on it. Really like that. And you can get the wrapped ghost as a pin. I low-key love collecting pins, so I'm really excited to add a ghost to my pin board. I like to put them up in my cubicle at work if I had a cubicle to go back to right now.
Oh, I missed the part. Yeah, I missed the part where that was actually a pin. Nice.
Yeah. I saw it. It took me a couple times of rereading. I was like, why are they giving away a sticker? And then I realized it was a pin, and that makes me happier than getting another shirt, frankly. I'm a sucker for those physical rewards, with the money going to charity, of course, helping the Bungie Foundation. Some of the other little things that we need to know about this event: $7.50 to enter the Haunted Forest. You can hold 25 decoders before you need to go open the chests up in the Haunted Forest. Earnable masks and masks available for silver and bright dust. No triumphs involving masks will require masks from Eververse, however. That's a very welcome thing to hear, because I think the only masks I'm missing at this point are from Eververse. I'm pretty sure that's where the spider one is going to be at, and the Broken Traveler. Bounties are coming back from last year and will offer bright dust, of course, and all Eververse items will be available for both silver and bright dust, with the exception of the new finisher, which we don't know what it looks like yet. That will only be up for silver, as is tradition at this point. I'm just really glad they're giving us a few cosmetics in the event. I really feel like they're starting to listen to people, and instead of just giving us emblems, they're like, all right, here's a ghost, here's a sparrow, here's a ship. They did this during the festival as well, or during Solstice and Age of Triumph as well. Really wish they would have given us that awesome, like, lightning looking ship that I had to buy for 2,000 bright dust. But yeah, guys, I think the rewards look really good here. I like the random rolls on the guns too, instead of just shoving a new fixed roll down our throat that we're going to get to use for like 2 months before the meta changes.
Yeah, that was the biggest bummer, I think, about last year, is that
it immediately became silly.
The best roll, also the best roll that you could get on the Braytech Werewolf, I think, was the fixed roll that you get from the first one. So there was really no grinding, right?
Fixed roll. There were no random rolls on it.
Are you sure? Oh, okay. I must not be remembering correctly then.
We're still able to pull it from collections.
Okay. Yep, that makes sense.
That and Horror Story you could pull, since they were masterworked fixed. Yep.
Yeah. I mean, it's there. I love the idea of being able to get some random rolls on those. I think we have some really good perks. Like I said, I think the game is hungry for some really good primaries right now. So, I mean, I'll definitely be grinding those two. Horror Story was Origin Story and Horror Story were both two of my favorite weapons from year 1/year 1.5. So I'll definitely be grabbing both of those for sure.
Yeah, I want to go get a couple of these rolls, especially, like I said, with Vorpal and Dynamic Sway. If those are both in the loop in the perk pool, I'd really like to go get those.
Yeah.
Yeah, Corey, any thoughts on Festival before we move on from this portion of the Schwab? I'm making sure I didn't miss anything real fast.
No, I mean, I'll run through it, but I mean, I just think it's time for something a little bit new for this event. Not that Festival of Lost needs to go away, but just incorporate something new within it. You know, the Haunted Forest is
it's overstated.
Yeah,
it's welcome.
That's all.
The one thing I will note, Corey and I talked about the armor a few weeks ago when we saw the leak. The armor has been officially revealed, though, and of course, it's like most seasonal or most special event sets. It is reskinned armor, but man, this armor actually looks really dope. I think.
I'm excited. Classes. I'm excited for the armor. I really like. I mean, I think my least favorite set is the Titan set.
Yep.
Which I probably won't grind anyway. Nothing against Titans. It's just, towards the end of the season, I really probably won't have time to do all three. But for me, I think all of the sets look great, especially Hunters and the Warlock gear. Looks pretty cool.
Here is, I referenced this earlier as Festival of the Cost. This continues to be my one big gripe with Destiny and with its seasonal events. I understand you can't give away the armor in-game every single year, or for every single event, rather, like you do for Solstice. I do think it's fairly generous, and the armor was really good this year, which takes away the sting of this a little bit more. This armor is only available in Eververse, much like the Christmas set. And the Guardian game set was. This time, at least, they are letting us buy it for Bright Dust, and you don't have to fork out 1,500 silver, which 1,500 US or 15 US dollars, by the way, $14.99. I'm probably going to drop 6,000 on that Hunter set, but you have to buy it all as a set. You can't buy individual pieces.
Yeah.
I would absolutely buy the Warlock chest piece if I could buy individual pieces for like 1,000 Bright Dust or something. I think that leads to a bigger discussion, I think, that we need to have about Eververse here pretty soon of they're getting better with it, but we got to reduce the cost of some of this stuff in the shop. 6,000 Bright Dust is more than you can grind. If it is more than you can grind out on one character during an event to get the armor set, it's priced too high, in my opinion.
I mean, I would...
Like, if this was something you could earn for the entire season of Arrivals, I would be less offended. And they have, to their credit, they've taken out the seasonal sets. It's only for the special events now that they leave it in. And this might be the first time I've looked at a special armor set for an event in like 2 years and gone, yeah, I need to earn that set. That's an awesome looking set.
I mean, I think as players, we always feel better when we earn something. But
absolutely,
I don't know. I think there should always be both options available to the player. I'm not against putting up a pretty high barrier to getting all of the gear through just playing the game. You know, if it's something that takes the entire season to grind for, good. I mean, I think there's a lot of other content in the game where you have to grind a lot of hours to get it. Trials would be a good example. I definitely think that there should be multiple ways that you can get it. Bright Dust, you can use silver, or you can just grind to get it. I think there should be all avenues
I would
available.
love to be able to drop like an obscene amount of legendary shards that I have.
Dude, save those because we're gonna need those and beyond.
Dude, I have 18,000 legendary shards.
You're set.
Jeez.
So when I say like I have materials to burn, I've got them to burn. I do think that something that we miss, and myself included. I thought about this while you were talking about it, how it feels to earn something. With armor not being random rolls anymore, I think that is affecting the decision to sell this in Eververse as ornaments and not to let us earn them, which is fine. I mean, you were able to just earn a set, but I think how you balance that out is maybe like you put the events on a rotation in a year or something. Like you always let us earn the Solstice set, but like maybe you let us earn Festival of the Lost, but you can't earn the what do you call it? The Dawning or the Guardian games or like Crimson Day. If Crimson Days ever gets armor, like you can't earn those. Then you have to get them in Eververse. I think that would be kind of a more healthy way to balance it. Or like once it's been like a year or two, hey, we're gonna throw these ornaments into the chest. You have an opportunity to earn some of them to drive down the cost of those past sets. I think those are avenues that Bungie can and frankly should explore if they plan on staying in Destiny 2 for a few more years. I don't want to see 7 sets pop up 2 years from now every time Festival of the Lost rolls around.
Yeah.
And be like, oh my god, like if I'm a new player, I'm looking at going, oh my god, they want me to spend all this money for all this cool looking armor. Like, what if I could just earn it instead? Or, go back to how you used to do events. Give your normal bright engrams for leveling up, but give us a special event engram. I would grind out more levels if they would give an event engram like every 2 or 3 levels just for the duration of Festival of the Lost or something to earn older cosmetics.
Or do some kind of like smaller, I don't want to call it a seasonal pass because that's what we already have, but do like an event pass or something that's very cheap. You grind through, 20, 25 levels of it. So you're still encouraging people to participate in activities, but you're rewarding them at different steps with the armor set pieces.
If you
like $2.99 for the
dude. I would pay up to. I think I would pay up to $6. I'd pay up to $5.99 for an event pass.
100% would do that, and give at various steps. You're giving other things like shards and all these other things. I think that would be a better way for them to present that.
I think that'd be a much better way, and like maybe like, hey, here's an extra like 1,000 bright dust to put towards if you want to get the armor set from this or let us earn the armor set from this season, but here's 1,000 to put towards a past set or towards a finisher or something that you want. I think there's a lot of ways, and again, we'll do a deep dive on Eververse probably in the next couple of weeks, because there's a lot that needs to be said about that in particular right now.
And it's also going to change a lot probably coming soon.
Yeah,
I imagine once we get into like transmog and stuff like that, it's going to change.
They did address that at the end of the TWAB today. They said we will be talking about the economy maybe it's not in the TWAB. It might have been a comment on Reddit that Cosmo or Damage made. They're going to talk about the economy in the coming weeks. That is one of the most pressing things we have before Beyond Light. And they did say in a Twitter comment, I think it was Damage who said it, do not expect to see any news on Transmog until after Beyond Light launches. Which of course is not making the player base happy. Some of us have 2-3 pages of armor stored up in our vaults because we're afraid to delete them. A little tight.
I mean, it's not a big deal. I mean, just keep the armor. It's not that big of a deal.
Well, so the problem is a lot of that armor is from sunsetting activities, so we can't just go re-earn it. But you're trying to hold on to weapons that are going to go forward, new roles. If you play more than one class, like I only play one class, and I was starting to feel the pinch there for a while.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
So, any last-minute thoughts on Festival of the Lost before we move on to bigger and better business?
I don't want to distract us too much. I'm just really glad that they're incorporating Spider into the season. I feel like he's been an underused character. I love Spider. I love his character model. I like the backstory. I like our interactions with him in Forsaken. I wish we could have done more with him. I doubt they'll do much with him. Once Beyond Light comes out, maybe they will, but I just love that Spider's been incorporated into this.
I personally think that Spider is going to factor into the seasonal storylines going forward. They're putting him into this. They know there is the demand for him. We really haven't seen much of him since Black Armory. He was tied pretty decently to the Black Armory storyline.
Yep.
I could see him being a player in Beyond Light just because it's going to be so Fallen focused.
I hope so.
But if they do continue on this track and they decide to sunset some planets or put them into the vault next year to fix them and make them better, Tangled Shore and Dreaming City will be the next two up. I would suspect that he is going to have a role to play if that happens, him and Petrovenge. So, pretty excited. Corey, any last minute thoughts on the Festival of the Lost?
No, but you talking about Spider makes me thinking about, the line of hypothetical statues that Josh and I were talking about last week, and how that Spider one of him sitting on a throne with a broken ghost in his hand would be awesome.
Ooh.
That would be incredible. I would love that. I want that, and I want a spiky servitor up on my shelf.
Yeah. But no, I don't have anything else about the Festival of the Lost.
Bungie, let me give you more money.
Yeah. Give me things to spend money on besides the game.
Going on to the main topic we were going to discuss this week, though. We're going to try and make this brief since we've already been going a little bit long. We were going to talk about the Cosmodrome. Things that we want to see fixed, things we'd like to see added, maybe some storytelling avenues, some vendor decisions. We could see here, could we potentially finally see a Cosmodrome-driven raid eventually? Things like that. So, Nerd, a couple of months ago, we put out a call for questions, and one of the things that you asked was, do you think Gallarhorn is coming back in Beyond Light? So I want to start there with you. Corey and I have addressed this before. I want you to answer your own question. Do you think Gallarhorn is coming back, and how? If it is, how do you think it's going to happen?
I mean, I think every, Destiny player who cares at all about the lore, and I do. I'm certainly not as knowledgeable about lore as you are, Josh, or a lot of people out there, but I do care about it. I do care about kind of like the gear economy and stuff like that. I think Gallarhorn is going to come back. I'm still 50-50 on it. Do I think it should? Yes. I would love to see it come back. I think it would be a great storytelling element. Gallarhorn is the, it's the pinnacle weapon of all weapons in the Destiny universe, from my understanding and what I've seen. I think everybody kind of thinks of it's kind of the same way. And I think, our story is driving us to one of the darkest times potentially, out there for our character and for the world.
Absolutely the darkest. I don't think it's any question.
And I think if we're gonna beat the darkness, we're gonna need to pull out all the stops. And I think Gallarhorn would be the thing. And I think having the Cosmodrome come back, which is, there's so much history with the Cosmodrome and Gallarhorn, I think it's the perfect opportunity. I think having a storyline or a quest that starts potentially even in the loot cave would be kind of a cool thing to do. I don't know. Do I think it's coming back? I'm not sure. Do I think it should? Yes.
Okay. And I've expressed this opinion to Corey before, and I'm pretty sure I've expressed it on this show. I would love to see the stories or the story missions come back eventually in these destinations that are becoming unvaulted. I think it would be really cool to be, and I do think ultimately this is what will happen eventually, is that you will be able to play through the entire Destiny 1 storyline with expansions from start to finish within Destiny 2 by sometime next year as they begin to unvault these planets. I would actually really love to see the exact same storyline from Rise of Iron around Gallarhorn come back. Mm-hmm. That was really the first time that I felt like we had a really special quest just for one weapon. We'd had Black Spindle before, where it was a little side tangent of a weekly story mission or a daily story mission, and that was really cool. Hiding things within missions became somewhat of a regular thing. We had the Sleeper Stimulant quest. We had Outbreak. We had Outbreak by this time. Or Outbreak would go up just after this. The Gallarhorn quest was something really special, I think, for a lot of us, though. Even if you got it in year one from a random drop, you crafted it in that. Like, Saladin gave you the remaining parts and told you where to find them and how to forge it.
So I didn't have any. Like I said earlier in the episode, I came into Destiny 1 very late in the game, like towards the end. Like Rise of Iron had already come out, and I started playing. And even like that quest did a really good job of like pointing out the significance of Gallarhorn and why it was like important, why it was powerful, and like you felt like a badass in that mission.
So, and the funniest part is, the Gallarhorn that we craft in there is like a third of what it was in year one.
Mm-hmm. Right, exactly.
But like you said, it captures the feel of being this cosmic space wizard, this space badass. You are fighting like 7 or 8 walkers all at once with a Gallarhorn, just unlimited ammo that you're picking up for it, and it is one of the coolest things, I think. Still, like, sure, we have things like Whisper of the Worm, we have the Outbreak Perfected mission, which both top tier missions, the Bad Juju mission, which is really cool. If you bring in Gallarhorn, it absolutely cannot be just a quest line that you do. It needs to be a quest line that culminates in a special mission. Not one, I think, that's like so balls hard that like casual players are really going to struggle with it, like Whisper and Outbreak, but something that's kind of in between Bad Juju and like the OG Whisper, like how Whisper was when it first came out. It was super duper hard. Something that's kind of a medium-sized challenge, to where like we're not just going to hand it to you, but if you're going to get it initially, it's going to be for those people who are grinding those high-level nightfalls. It's going to be for raiders. It's going to be for PvE, like high-level PvE players, and then it'll be slightly easier as you increase your power in subsequent seasons.
See, I disagree. I actually think it should be a solo mission.
I think it absolutely will be. It'll be like Bad Juju, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think it should be a solo mission. I think, when I'm there and I'm picking up the Gallarhorn, I want to be the only person doing that. I don't want to see 2 other guys, or 2 other people in my party picking that gun up as well. I actually want to be the person picking that up so I can feel significant. For me, that's my personal perspective on it.
No, I totally agree too. Corey, any Gallarhorn thoughts?
I mean, I think I want it to come back, but at the same time, I feel like the longer they hold it off, like the longer, like that myth and that legend surrounding the weapon becomes greater, and then I feel like it's gonna come back maybe sometime in the spring, maybe around Vault, when they unvault Vault, I guess is that's how you say that, right? Unvault Vault, yeah. I don't know. I would like to see it come back. I would like to see some sort of mission, like you said, like from Rise of Iron. Maybe, I don't know if it'd be like the exact same, or maybe that area gets unvaulted too, and you go back there to find Gallarhorn again. You know, like in some sort of not the same mission, but kind of like we have to go find it because you need it to, take on whatever the darkness brings on Europa, right? Like maybe that's how they do it. I know Nerd Generalist just said all that, but like I think that's a cool thing to do. Is like we need to take on whatever is unleashing the darkness, and we need the big guns. And now we go search for Gallarhorn, and maybe Saladin is there. Maybe I don't know, man. I do think it should come back. I think it needs to be a special mission to come back. It can't be like the multi-tool mission, right? Like it just can't. It's got to be something really cool. It's got to be something that you not grind for, but maybe takes a while to get because it is so special in a lot of Destiny players' minds.
And for the love of God, don't make me take it in the Crucible.
I've got one of two thoughts on how they're going to handle this. I always maintained that they would not bring back Gallarhorn until Destiny 3. Now that we know Destiny 3 is at bare minimum 3 years off, which I think that they're just going to drop. I frankly think the 2 is going to get dropped maybe as early as this fall. They just call it Destiny again. But I don't know if that'll happen until they start bringing all the Destiny 1 content in.
I think by the time the Witch Queen comes out, that 2 will be gone.
Yeah. I'm of two opinions. Either the mission will not be there in the Cosmodrome when we first launch regardless. I could see the mission being given to us next spring. I personally am of the opinion that Crota's End will be unvaulted next summer as a 3-man dungeon instead of a raid. That, of course, is the raid, the encounter that people realized Gallarhorn was really good for. Nobody had really realized it up to that point, and they were like, "Oh my god! Like you have to have this." We've all told the LFG stories, the horror stories of you can't join unless you have Gallarhorn, because so many top tier players didn't even have it. I was one of those lucky SOBs who got it to drop in my very first Nightfall ever. Nobody understood. I just threw it in my vault, and then months later, we're going to do Crota, and it ended up being the permanent invite for my buddy Matt and I for months on end to go do Crota together. I've always said that I think, not always, but for the last couple of months, I've been tooting my horn about. I think that they will bring the Gallarhorn mission out of the vault when Crota's End is imminent. When that will come back in, especially since we know the Vault of Glass is coming back. I think that just now everything is fair game in my opinion. Every quest line, every story, every strikes are coming back. Every patrol zone is game, raids, etc. My other prediction is that if they don't do that, maybe it's 6 months later and it's given to us in the last quest of season 15 next year, and we get it going into the Witch Queen, because like you said, you need to craft a more powerful weapon to fight the darkness that's coming. Get it before you go into Savathûn. Like maybe that's part of the actual storyline to fighting Savathûn, is it's a special solo mission that you craft the Gallarhorn in. I think that would be really cool. The only other prediction I have is that they hold it all the way until Lightfall, similar to what Corey was saying. And just the ominous name of Lightfall and the symbol of the pyramid being on that expansion. And obviously it's 2 years out, anything can change. If that's supposed to be leading up to the bleakest time in Destiny, it's just going to get progressively darker and darker. I could see them being like, here we go, we're pulling out all the stops, here's Gallarhorn.
So here's an idea. And it does tie back into our larger conversation about like the Cosmodrome and stuff like that. So one of my questions once they unvault this is how it factors into the whole New Light experience. Because part of New Light is you actually start off in the Cosmodrome, right? Like
yes.
You go through that first mission to get your ship and fly off, and then whatever, you're sort of like fast forwarded to the future. So there's two questions with this, and we can even break this out into its own conversation if you guys want. But like, one, how much Cosmodrome content actually are they going to give us as part of that new light experience? Because now, like, we can further like stretch that new player experience out. Okay, you get your ship, and then you go on to the next mission from Destiny 1 and stuff like that. Would it kind of be cool if the new light experience, like as a brand new player, and you could help old, like the current player base, have them go back and redo this as well? Like, would it be cool to have like the end of the new light experience be to do the Gallarhorn mission from Destiny 1 in the Cosmodrome and like get that gun? Like, that's the end of like your new light experience.
I think that would be really cool. And I do think like right now, so in Destiny 1, there weren't a whole lot of like options for huge DPS at once. It really was OG Gallarhorn, Sleeper Stimulant, and maybe Thunderlord, like Thunderlord and like Nova. I want to say it was Nova Mortis. It was the Void version of Thunderlord. Mm-hmm. Those were kind of like the big three and Dark Drinker. Dark Drinker is just still to this day the nastiest exotic I think they've ever made, and they made it a legendary this time around. I almost wonder, you just brought that up, like what if that's the end of your new light quest line? What if we only what if we reforge Gallarhorn in a story mission in a future expansion, and you only get to use it for that one mission, but it's unlimited ammo? Like, it just completely breaks after use.
Or in a raid.
Or Saladin. If it's a raid and Saladin gives you his personal Gallarhorn.
I mean, I think those would be cool things. I mean, I think
you've got to tie it back to the lore at a certain point, right?
Yeah.
Like the whole purpose of us crafting it in Rise of Iron was we got the last bits of pieces that we needed to craft it, and it's actually forged from the armor of the Guardians who fell at Twilight Gap.
What if you take? Now that you said that, like, what if you get Saladin's personal Gallarhorn? What if it's like a? What if it's a like they make it into a quest where you actually are forging a new, not like a new version of Gallarhorn, but you're taking the bits of Gallarhorn that are destroyed and making a new rocket launcher, and like Gallarhorn becomes a weapon similar to like one of the swords that you take Crota down in, or like one of those rocket launchers that you pick up from like Prison of Elders or something, where like
sports cannons.
Yeah, where it's just like a pickup, and it doesn't really take up a weapon slot, and you use it and then it breaks afterwards, and then after like the raid, it's like a quest step similar to the Legend of Acrius or whatever, where like you have to start forging this weapon through quest steps, and you make something not that isn't Gallarhorn, but like the next, like an evolution of Gallarhorn.
Mm-hmm. That, or like craft it through a raid encounter similar to Divinity. Yeah. Like if you did all the quest steps before and during the raid, you get rewarded with it for your first completion. Yeah, I think there's a lot of steps you can take, and I do think it's a matter of if, not when. Mm-hmm. Or when, not if, they introduce this. Excuse me. I do think that this is coming back. I just don't know when it's going to be. It could be 6 months from now. It could be 3 years from now. Mm-hmm. But when they do bring it, they know the feelings that OG Destiny 1 players have. And you only have to be a year one player to understand. I mean, like, you understand the meme if you played in year one. But if you played in Rise of Iron, you understand the story and the reverence behind that gun, not just for players, but in universe. And whenever you can have something like that have such huge significance to the NPCs, I think that really changes. Those types of guns should be more powerful, frankly. Like Whisper of the Worm, I think, should be super powerful. You are literally wielding a hive god in a sniper rifle. Mm-hmm. Like Deathbringer is the soul of a death singer. Xenophage has the power of a guardian who's the size of a bug now. Like, These are all things like these guns should be, frankly, obscenely overpowered. Divinity is a Vex weapon. These are things that if you're going to do that, do it. Like, let Gallarhorn have the maximum firepower it should have. Sure, you'll tune and tweak it over time, but it should be a top tier option. I think Bungie's hesitance to bring it back before they're getting close to the end of this game is frankly because they know if they bring it back and it's not the most powerful thing in the entire game, that they'll never hear the end of it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, almost rightfully so to an extent.
Well, I think the I think it has its place, right? If they bring it back in that capacity, but we have encounters and we have options now that I don't think really we had in Destiny 1.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
There's
not a lot of raid encounters that this would be good in.
There are guns that serve a lot of different purposes and fit a lot of different scenarios. Like when we do encounters where we might use Outbreak as our primary damage weapon, or we might use Xeno, or we might use Warcliffe Coil. There are encounters that require different solutions, and I think now, I mean, bringing it back, we can give it max firepower, we can give it max damage. It could be cut and paste the same as it was from year one in terms of its impact on the game, but that doesn't mean everybody's going to have to use it. And I think that would be I think that would make it viable to bring it back in that capacity, because you're still going to have other options to sort of deal with other encounters with.
Right, and like I was saying earlier, we never really had that go-to heavy. The outside of really Dark Drinker and kind of Thunderlord in Destiny 1, even Gallarhorn Weaker was that was the very definition of nerfing something into the ground, because a regular nerf just didn't work. They nuked that thing from orbit, and it didn't recover to an extent that they had to reintroduce the gun entirely in Rise of Iron, and still couldn't make it more powerful than an exotic sword. I think that speaks volume, and at that point it does become about the storyline involved, and I think it's less about the power. At that point it would be okay to be like, just explain it away, we've seen so much more of the universe. We have literally dead alien gods in our guns. Of course they're gonna be more powerful than Gallarhorn. We're using the enemy against themselves instead of just the weapons of humanity. It makes sense. This is the most powerful thing humanity created. We're using weapons of the darkness and weapons of other people, and the darkness, that's another thing. We don't know how stasis is going to change the exotic field either.
That's true.
So let's move on from the Gallarhorn talk, though. I did want to kick off our Cosmodrome discussion there. You brought up the loot cave. I think it's pretty clear that they're going to do something with the loot cave. I don't think it's just going to be hold X and hear the voice saying that not even Master Raoul can calm the 1,000 spirits or something.
I bet it becomes a lost sector.
Yeah,
that's what I was getting to. I think it's going to be a lost sector, or maybe even the entrance to the Omnigul strike now.
Oh God.
I could see either of those being a thing, but absolutely, I do truly hope it's a lost sector, or maybe even the beginning of the next of a new strike. They literally they make you blow the wall in the backup, and it opens this whole new area or something.
Yeah,
I could see something cool like that happening. There's the capacity for so many cool things in the Cosmodrome, and I think that and the ship where Cade's stash is at are both areas just ripe to be lost sectors.
Yeah, I was thinking about a Cosmodrome based raid actually, and where Cade's stash is. Maybe instead of going up the rocket, maybe you go down. You go down underneath it, and that's where the entrance to the raid is. Some sort of Cosmodrome base raid is underneath the the rocket base there. Just because that whole section is it was very rarely used in Destiny 1. That whole section, right? I just feel yeah, we went up, but what's underneath that? There's stuff underneath there. So that was just what I was thinking.
In before they bring Sepix Prime back a third time and make us kill him as a raid boss.
God, maybe that's the first raid encounter.
I am really excited for the Cosmodrome to come back for a few reasons. One of which is absolutely the Sepix Prime strike.
Mm-hmm.
I think anybody who played in year one has that music burned into their brain forever. And remembering the first terrifying nightfall they attempted and hiding in one little room in the back corner because the enemies wouldn't spawn if you stood there, and Sepix couldn't shoot you into that room. That was the only place you were safe at. Taking 30 minutes to take pot shots at a boss. Like, God, dude, Nightfalls used to be so much harder. It's not even a joke. Like how the master levels are now is how regular Nightfalls were in Destiny 1.
Yeah.
Well, but
we
also had self-res then.
Oh, dude, Nightfall, dude, that you always had to have like some warlock with you that had self-res on.
You
right?
had to. It was, God, dude. You had to have that. You had to have a hunter with Tether in year 2 or Celestial Nighthawk. It's so bad.
Well,
those, God, dude, those. Well, we didn't have well actually.
Yeah.
We didn't have well in.
no, what I mean is it's
in the
like wells with Luna with Luna's. I mean, to a lesser extent, but you had to have those. I see what you're saying with the self res though. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's the whole reason why self-res wasn't brought in. It was too much of a crutch. Bubble Titan was absolutely the best thing you could have.
That was me.
Throw it up right at the door so everybody can run through it to go get ammo and come back. You're hiding in the corner to pop a heavy ammo or a special ammo synth to take pot shots. Good times. I'm really looking for my cat is sniffing me and presumably my laptop here.
And hiding hiding in that back room in the Omnigul strike with the bubble, oh man, just
dude. So, there's so many things, so many different hidey holes that you had in those strikes, and I'm really looking forward because I'm really nostalgic and want to play those again. I want to see that, but at what point do you think that since they've said everything's on the table now with the vault, do you think that we get the Plague Lands unvaulted anytime this year, since that's an extension of the Cosmodrome?
I was thinking about that too.
And this expansion is Fallen themed, so could we see the return of Siva?
That was going to be my question. Is what's so? I mean, when they brought back the moon, there were changes. I mean, the moon had aged. Like, it didn't just stand still, right? Like, they had they even went as far as, I think, to show us screenshots kind of side by side before they released it, what had kind of evolved. So like
it's
how does
familiar but not too familiar,
right? I mean, you can see the passing of time in that zone when they brought it back. So I think I want to make sure that's my one thing with both Cosmodrome and really any content that they bring back is I want to see how it's aged. So for me, Cosmodrome and Plaguelands, like I want to see how those have evolved with Siva, because like when we left it, I mean, we left it right after the Siva crisis. I mean, I want to see how that left that land. Are we still dealing with that? Is that still there? Like what's going on with all that stuff? I want to make sure that like there's an evolution of that zone. It's not just brought back the same way we left it.
And we know that Zavala, the in-story reason for why we couldn't go back to the Cosmodrome when we fled the city was that Zavala has ordered a quarantine of the Cosmodrome due to Siva. I would be really surprised if we didn't see Siva just all over the place in there, or at least maybe in that opening area if you didn't see it again. But depending on how they handle the missions, they're supposed to introduce you to a larger world with Beyond Light. I am curious, like, are those going to continue to be missions that are similar to the opening of the Destiny 1 campaign? Because that was a pretty good intro to the universe. You're going to do that, and then, like, when you activate the array and Rasputin and all that, congratulations, you get to go to the moon. Like, I could see them unvaulting story missions as we go forward, since the moon is already in there, too.
I wouldn't be surprised if they just made, like a streamlined kind of take, like, the 10 basic story missions out of the that original campaign, or even maybe
there was so much filler in there,
maybe even the Dark Below, like you just take like 10 or 12 missions for the new light, whatever, and just kind of streamline it to give you a base Destiny 1 story ish, just to introduce you to all the planets and stuff. Because I mean, obviously you're not going to be able to go to Mars or Venus, but like, I mean, eventually you will, but not right away. So I wonder if they'll just give you like, the main kind of Cosmodrome and moon missions or whatever.
I'd love it. I think, Nerd, you brought up a really good point when you said that Bungie showed us side-by-side comparisons of the Moon in Destiny 1 versus in Shadowkeep. I think the Moon coming back was kind of a prototype for us what to expect from the Cosmodrome. You had the original zones of the Moon. All the whole Undercroft is still there and everything. Literally everything, including Fogoth's room, is still there. The only thing we can't go down and see is the actual Crota's End raid. Everything else is there, to my knowledge. It's just changed a little bit, but you have the 4 lost sectors. You have all of Sorrow's Harbor. You have the area where the opening mission takes place. The Vex Gate that you find. The Scarlet Keep. The Pit of Heresy. There's so much stuff, even in existing areas, that you can do. Like Tannix's ship is now completely explorable. In patrol, like it wasn't in Destiny 1. That was a strike. You had to actually load into that. I think things like that are really cool and really unique, and I'd like to see that in the Cosmodrome. Like, I don't know what you possibly add, but I think you can expand on like the area where you go to. You did it in Destiny 1 before the Taken King, but there were like 2 super invincible knights at the bottom of one of the platforms. And then in the Dark Below, we actually go down there and open it up and go to craft or get some intelligence for Eris. I believe it's in the Dark Below or in the Taken King. And you hide in the rafters because the ogres were so powerful. I think things like that are really cool. I think there's a lot of opportunity for some massive lost sectors here, like you guys said. If there's not new strikes, I'll be shocked. I know they're telling us about the 3 that are coming back, but I think there's going to be at least a strike or 2 on Europa and probably at least 1 in the Cosmodrome.
It has to be. I think it has to be a balance of new and old content because, like, we've got a lot of new players who Destiny 2 is their first entrance in here, and all of that. I don't want. It's not fan service, but there is fan service to it. That's going to be lost on them. So it has to be like there has to be a lot of new content there too, I think.
Yeah, we don't know how the strikes are going to quite go off either.
Right.
We do know that this fall, the only one that will ship with Beyond Light is Will of Crota. So the Omnigul strike. Will ship with it. Sepix Prime and Fallen Saber will come the season after, I believe, and we don't know how season schedules are going to work anymore. And Vault of Glass is coming back sometime next year with some Destiny 2 changes. But it's like, is it going to be the same storyline in these or not? Like, my inclination is that it's going to be the same storylines because I do think that that's going to be part of the new Light experience now. Is, hey, we're going to kind of condense the Destiny story down for you, like Corey said. They've still, the Stranger is still in that initial cutscene, I believe, when you're taking off from New Russia. I played through it not too long ago when Beyond Light came out, but I can't remember off the top of my head. Stranger.
I think she watches you take off.
I think you have to add everything in then up through the end of the Moon missions. If the Stranger is going to be back in the game, because new players are going to be like, who the hell is this? Like, great question. We don't even know. She's shown up literally 4 times in Destiny 1, and that's it. And as we discussed last week, in Lore Corner, there is a lot of evidence that she is Elsie Bray, that she's Anna's sister. And with Anna, spoiler alert, Anna coming to the tower now, I feel like a lot of storylines are starting to converge, and it's going to happen in the Cosmodrome.
Yeah.
Anna Bay.
Absolutely Anna Bay. So keeping on the Cosmodrome, though, Uldren is going to be the vendor here. I think it's like 99% confirmed he's going to be the vendor.
Well, he's been hanging out. He's been hanging out in the Cosmodrome, so it would make total sense.
Yeah. I think that's kind of where your mix of old and new content comes into play. Like there's the old content for new players, like or for those who didn't experience Destiny 1, like, oh my god, like, oh, this is what it was like in year 1. Okay, this was actually really cool. And then there's the stuff that we want, which is the continuation of the ongoing story. It's one of the many story threads that needs to be picked up here, which is Uldren and Mara. This feels like the natural next step. I've said I feel like Mara is going to show up at Europa at some point this year.
Yeah.
Or she'll be back in the Dreaming City. There's speculation going around on the internet now that since season 15 is just before the Witch Queen drops, that's when we're going to get the 15th wish for the Last Wish raid. That'll help us undo the curse or vault the city or something. Like I love reading the Destiny conspiracy theories online now.
The 15th wish has just been the longest, like, tease.
If that ends up panning out, that would be such a brilliant move, I think.
Oh man. You know what? If there wasn't a 15th wish, they've certainly added it in by now. Like there's definitely one.
I don't think there ever was, but I think
Correct.
The conspiracy theories around it have caused them to go, "Yep, here we go. We're going to tie this to the storyline. We're going to really with people." But we talk about.
Sorry, the 15th wish is just Shaxx takes the helmet off.
I genuinely think if
is it
Shaxx
just gonna
ever takes
is it just gonna be a Halo 1 like hack thing where like he takes the helmet off and it's just another helmet on underneath it?
I would laugh really hard. It's a Zavala clone.
Yeah. Or maybe like maybe he's like just wearing like the paper mache mask from the Festival of the Lost and he just takes it off and it's just his real helmet.
I do think that this is really, really ripe though for even more so than the moon. The moon is the smallest area in Destiny 1. Mm-hmm. And look how much they've expanded that. It's now one of the biggest in Destiny 2. The ability to do that with the Cosmodrome, I think, is going to be really important. That you're going to need to be able to do that, and I think to that end, maybe they won't introduce that at launch, but I do think the Plague Lands are coming before the end of the year, before the end of Beyond Light.
I mean, you could even expand out from like where you start, like in Destiny 1, where you're like running from the wall, like into the wall. Like you could expand out that way almost too. You know, like you don't have to be stuck inside the walls.
Yeah, I do think I don't think they're going to do much out there. I think that there'll be the Fallen Catch Park out there that we've raided before.
Mm-hmm.
I think that'll be out there, and I think that. Maybe that's where Uldren is chilling, is out there right on the outskirts of the wall. He's either gonna be there or he's gonna be like right inside the wall, maybe in that like initial encounter room.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's gonna be a lost sector in that opening area where you're first rezzed.
I think he's gonna be holding a Kavas stuff.
I would love for there to be a lost sector out there, because if you did the Thunderlord quest during Festival of the Lost a couple of years ago during Forsaken, there's I don't think it's on-screen text. Or no, there is on-screen text. It's for the quest stuff. It's like, go back to the beacon when you're ready to leave. There's not anything left out here, or is there? Mm-hmm. And nobody ever found anything out there. Obviously, what if like now we see like, Uldren is hiding here. Uldren is hiding, and surprise, there's a lost sector. Or there's the entrance to a strike. There's so many things you can do with existing assets out here.
Mm-hmm.
And I do think, though, eventually, because now the question comes up of, well, with Sepix Prime, like, it can't be that they rezzed him for a third time. Like, that's just, that excuse is going to stop working. Same with Omnigul. Like, she can't have been rezzed. Those have to be the original strikes. Like, then are we going to get the option to do the Siva version of Sepix with that kick-ass soundtrack or not? Like, there's so many different things you can do there, I feel.
Yeah. I feel like I wonder how they're gonna get you, like, even if they do expand it into the Plague Lands too. Like, I wonder how you're gonna be able to get in there from like. Well, I guess you entered the Plague Lands from like. I don't know.
I mean, so they had to make it a completely separate section in Destiny 1, but if it really has taken over as much of that area as we've been led to believe, I think that you could pretty seamlessly tie that in to the Divide now. Just instead of having to divide it up, it's like, oh, well, we don't have to. It can all be the same instance now, because so much of this initial area has been Siva-fied. It's just grown in the 3 years that we've been gone.
Yeah.
But I do think that opens up the possibility for things to change on the moon as well. Like, we've seen the evolution on Earth. Like, okay, what if we introduce some old stuff back to the moon now? Of course, we know Vault of Glass is coming back. There's a door that looks oddly like a giant Vex gate that we've seen in the preview images for Europa. Like, is that where we enter the vault at? There's been the theories that we enter on Nefsis. Like, where do we enter it? Do we get Venus unvaulted in the spring possibly with it?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, man, I like the planet I'm most interested in them bringing back is Venus, especially because of Vault, right? Like I know that you said like there's a big theory that we entered the Vault from what Nessus because there's a Vex gate there, but I
That's
just
the one in the Whisper mission, right?
no. So the Whisper mission's on Io, and there is specific dialogue, I believe, from either Io or Nessus that says that this picking of traces from the Vault of Glass, but that's on Venus, and that kind of establishes that, and that was teased in Vanilla Destiny 2. That teases the future inclusion of us going back to the Black Garden from the moon.
Right. Okay.
So, and like I was just telling Corey, like there's a theory popping up. We've seen a giant Vex gate that's on Europa, a new Pyramidian-like structure. Maybe that's where we enter the Vault of Glass from. Or, do they simply go, after a couple months have passed and we've all settled in, like, hey guys, Vault of Glass is coming back in April, but we're going to drop Venus with the spring update. And, my personal theory that we're going to alternate, since they're going to unvault raids now. You get a dungeon, then you get a new raid. You get a dungeon, you get an unvaulted raid. Something like that, to really have a new pinnacle activity each go around, especially if we can start compressing this file size down. We already know next gen it's going to be about 68, 69 gigs when it drops. That is way better than the 110 it is right now.
So how do you think like players who've lived in the Destiny 2 ecosystem are going to respond to legacy contents, like specifically raids and strikes? Because like with any game series, you have to have some kind of progression where the content get not only harder, but just more. You get more, and as I think as developers, you get more intellectual, more creative, and things start to get harder and just more interesting. I mean, if you go back and I've never done Vault of Glass, but I've watched videos of it. I mean, if you go back, and compare that to some of the raids that we have now, it's still going to be fun and challenging, but it's probably not as challenging as something be as like a Last Wish or maybe like a Garden. I mean, what do you think? Do you think new players who've lived in the Destiny 2 ecosystem only are going to be able to appreciate that content enough?
I think so, because I think at this point, if you're still in this ecosystem after 3 going on 4 years now, and you've played the story content we've gotten this time around has been infinitely better than anything we got in Destiny 1 outside of the Taken King. I think Taken King is the only thing that's on par. But I'd say that and Forsaken are right up there. I hope that Beyond Light meets it. Just the way they keep growing the universe through raids, through strikes, through exotic quests, through seasons. Like I think Arrivals has been, if Arrivals hadn't had to be extended by like 9 weeks, we'd be talking about Arrivals as probably the best overall season outside of maybe Opulence that either game has had.
Yep, those two I would say have been the best so far. Yep.
Yeah, I think the only thing in Destiny 1 I think that equals up to it in terms of an individual season, because we forget how bad the content drought was in Destiny 1. You got the fall expansion and that was it. House of Wolves is the only other one I would say that kind of matches up with that, because we got Prison of Elders and there were multiple difficulties, but that's it. The content in Destiny 2 has so outpaced that I think introducing the legacy content is a way to both appease nostalgia for older players. We're entering year 7 of the franchise. Some of us really want to go back and play year 7 or 8, one of those of this franchise. Like some of us really want to go back to it. But I think for older or for newer players, it keeps the storytelling going. It shows, okay, what are those things that have been referenced? Like we fought Nightmares of Omnigul. Who the hell is Omnigul? Who's Crota? Like, unless you read the lore, you probably don't know that stuff if you're a Destiny 2 only player. Right. And I think bringing back that old content is a way to service the content that you need to keep refreshing in an MMO. The content vault gives them a constant stream of things to pull from. Even in there is now a precedent being established with the Vault of Glass coming sometime in 2021 during Beyond Light. They're like, we're not saving this for Witchwing. It's coming in 2021 in the spring. There is now a precedent for unvaulting major activities and strikes and things like that. I mean, why wouldn't you just unvault the planet? Be like, you have to own Beyond Light in order to get this content.
Mm-hmm. Do you think
like? And I think that service. Oh, sorry. I just want to add on the end. Like, I think that service is both. You're getting new content in there, and you're getting the nostalgia feeling for those current players. You're balancing the old and the new, with new activities being added in, of course, too.
Do you think?
Go ahead, Corey.
Do you think, like, players who didn't get to experience a lot of Destiny 1 or Destiny 1 at all are going to appreciate Vault of Glass the way that we do?
I don't think they'll hold it in as high of regard as us, because I do think that Vault of Glass has been eclipsed in terms of Vault Encounter, in terms of mechanics.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of why Luke Smith was kind of like publicly musing about we're going to change some stuff in it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we can look at some other games as like a good reference. I hate to make any kind of comparisons, but like I think World of Warcraft is like a really good frame to look at right now, because like with World of Warcraft Classic, you get to see people who had never really played that but had always heard about it going back and now playing this content from 2004, 2005, 2006 again. And there definitely is still an appreciation for it. It's not just like the old people coming back and play it again. There were new players going into that. I think it'll just be a different appreciation for it. Like Josh was saying, like you get to see the references. You get to kind of, maybe you heard your buddies back, 3 or 4 years ago who were saying, oh man, back in the day when we used to raid Vault, like, those were the days, and now you finally get in touch with that.
Yeah, I mean, like our buddy A1 Johnny, he's never done Vault. He's never done a Destiny 1 raid, and he is just, ever since they announced that, he's been like, dude, I can't wait. He's like, I can't wait for you to take me through Vault. Like you say, like, hey, it's so good. And I mean, to me, Vault is still a top 3 or 4 raid, and I think a lot of that is tied to the nostalgia, the feeling of when you did that for the very first time. If you played year 1, I mean, we played it maybe a week and a half after it launched. I'd never seen anything like that in a shooter. Like, a Destiny raid still is unlike anything in any other FPS.
Mm-hmm.
Division has tried copying it. A couple of others have too. And it's just like, it never quite clicks for any other game. Destiny and that's because Luke Smith was an avid World of Warcraft player and wanted to design a raid based on World of Warcraft, like how they did it. And it's one of, seriously, I think it might be the biggest jump forward we made in terms of multiplayer gaming this generation, frankly, is the rating system in Destiny. I think everybody honestly would love to see these. And I'll say that as somebody who desperately wants to play these 4 older raids. I say this as we're going to do a raid ranking eventually. We don't have time for it tonight, but King's Fall, I feel like I speak for Corey here, is still the best raid in the entire franchise.
Yes, I agree. Although I haven't run all the raids in Destiny 2, but
the only one that matches for me is Last Wish. But I mean, it took us 3 years to get to Last Wish.
It's kind of funny that you bring that up, Josh, because you know what part of Last Wish we've never experienced yet is doing a legit Riven run, which, Corey, I mean, you just said you haven't done all the raids. I mean, I think this would be a good time for us to just, let's get that Last Wish Riven run on the books. Let's go, guys. Come on, let's get this done.
I
sign up.
TBD.
I'll do it.
All right.
I'm not afraid.
Josh, if I sent you a delicious bottle of local whiskey, would you come and do Last Wish Riven legit with me?
I mean, I don't need to be bribed. At this point, it's frankly finding enough time to set aside to attempt a legit Riven run.
I take that as a yes. I'm taking that as a yes, a tentative yes.
It's a tentative flaky yes. It's like a flaky biscuit that's just falling apart.
In 2020, I will take a flaky biscuit.
It's over 51%. That's all I'll tell you.
I like good flaky biscuits.
That's true. That's true. Sorry, I didn't mean to change the subject, but it was a great segue.
That was a great segue because, as Corey's going to say, we're going to start wrapping it up here.
Yeah.
It's late.
It is, yeah. I mean, not that I'm not having a great time, but this is our longest episode ever of Tower Casuals. Josh, remember at the beginning of this show when we said, oh, you know what would be nice if we just did like a half hour, 40-minute episode every week just to, get our Destiny feet wet every week. And here we are, 2 hours later.
You could just edit out all of me if you want. I mean, I think that works best.
I mean, to be fair, we were talking for about 35 minutes before we got started, I think. So
yeah, and then we spent the first half hour.
We're almost on par with how long it was with A1 Johnny.
Yeah.
We're pretty close there. And this wasn't a slow week. We were skipping lore corner and everything this week, guys.
Yeah.
Well, guys, I want to thank you for having me on. I think what you guys are doing with this podcast specifically, but all of the content that you guys create on Boss Rush is awesome. Keep up the good work, and anytime you guys need, give me a call.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome anytime on anything that we do.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I want to thank everybody for watching and or listening to this show. Remember, you can catch us live on Thursday nights right here on Boss Rush Games live on Twitch or on your favorite podcast service. Remember to rate and review, like, subscribe, smash the bell. I don't know, throw the dog. I don't know what else you do to subscribe to stuff anymore. There's too many things.
Just smash your keyboard at this point.
Just chuck your mouse. I don't know. But anyways, Nerd, thanks for joining us. Remind everybody where we can find you on the internet.
For the time being, you can follow me over on Twitter at @ngeneralist.
Yes. Also look forward to future appearances of this man here at some point. Josh, where can we find you?
As always, on Twitter at @Josh_Finn. Finn with 2 N's, as always. Follow me for more of my moving woes and the constant paranoia over if Target is going to decide to charge my card 1,000,000 times from smashing that order button a couple of weeks ago.
He smashed that keyboard, folks.
Yeah,
I did. And of course, every Thursday here on Tower Casuals and the ever increasingly regular appearances on Arsenal X.
Yes, we just expect you to be there at this point, honestly.
Yeah.
Every time.
That's how I found out it was Sunday last week. Was Corey sent a group message and was like, "Hey guys, here's what we're gonna talk about tonight." I'm like, "Oh, I guess I'm coming in."
I mean, if you're not going to be there, I just expect you to message me to say you're not going to be there instead of you're going to be there. So,
yeah.
By the way, really happy about what that show is turning into.
I love it over there. I think we got a really good crew.
Yeah. So, anyways, you can follow me at IamCoreyNHD on Twitter and Instagram. You can find me on a plethora of things here on Boss Rush Games. Like, subscribe, share, rate, and review. Check out all of our content on BossRushGames.com. Thank you, Josh. Thank you, Nerd, for joining me tonight on this extended episode of Tower Casuals. And until next week, we love you.